everybody. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Siva. I teach math over there. So when I heard that I was chosen to give this address on a bright sunny day in May, my mind went to one place, a place it often goes, namely chess. So over the past 4 years, I've seen you all grow up into the amazing individuals you are today, worked with over 90 of you in some capacity or another, and seen the successes, the failures, the beginnings, the middles, the ends, and how you've triumphed through it all. As a chess team, I've seen members of your class lead Lakeside to 4 consecutive state championships, 4 consecutive national top 10s, and most importantly, seen you all, the class of 2013, create the, as Tatler called it, chess revolution that has basically seen chessboards everywhere on campus. And I have to say, I couldn't be happier. So, much like chess games, our lives regularly have openings where we carefully plan and hash out every move and progress systematically. We then encounter unforeseen roadblocks and challenges as we move into the middle games and have to employ serious creativity and tactics to maneuver where we want to go. Upon ideally successful navigation of this middle game, we then move on to the end game, where we once again proceed in a fairly calculated manner and ideally finish what we started. For the next few minutes, I hope to share a few stories from the chess game of my life that I hope resonate with many of you. 10 years ago, it was Lakeside graduation day. I was a junior. Early that day, before the formal ceremony, I went into what's now Janet's office, shook hands with Bernie and Dan, thanked them for my 5 years at Lakeside, bid my goodbyes, and finished my Lakeside endgame. Or so I thought. Let's backtrack a bit. Start of that year, so we're talking about 11 years ago. It was the start of my junior year at Lakeside, when one of my teachers, Irene Baranoff, recommended that I pursue peer tutoring. She also said a single statement that would absolutely change the way I viewed life and my future, though I certainly didn't know it at the time. What she said was, you should hurry up and get your math degree and come back here and teach with me. So I think you can see where this is going. So upon her recommendation, I became a peer tutor. And I recall working with a student that year who opened the year doing very poorly. And I worked with that student twice a week, every week, for the entire year. And it was on that day of graduation, 10 years ago, after I had played Pomp and Circumstance 5 times, you and the orchestra folk know what that's like, heard the speeches and watched the seniors celebrate and receive their diplomas, that I went and checked my box for the last time. In my box that day, there was a card from this student. She said she had received an A in the course, and that it was thanks in large part to me and my work helping her. Working with her that year, seeing her confidence and love of mathematics grow, and ultimately getting that culminating card in my box, was truly the most rewarding feeling I had ever felt in my then 16 years of being. Thinking back, I realized that it was at that moment that I wanted to become a teacher. So why do I tell you this story at your baccalaureate? Well, when I look out at your class of 2013, what I see is several brilliant individuals who have all had several different experiences here at Lakeside. So I want to ask you a few questions. What experiences are you going to take with you into your lives after Lakeside? What moments in your high school careers will be the ones that shape the next challenges you choose to undertake? Cherish the fact that you've had so many experiences here, as they'll surely come back in some unforeseen ways in the future. I certainly would have never guessed that for me, these shaping moments were the opportunity to peer tutor and one statement by one teacher on one day in junior year. Okay, so back to stories. One more. I had my opening. I wanted to be a teacher. Good. So, what next? How do I become good at that? What do I teach? What level? Okay. So I was at UW, and I had a great teacher. His name was Patrick Perkins. And I did fairly well in his calculus class, and he had me come tutor college students. So initially I was a little bit intimidated. You know, I was 16, they weren't. And anyway, but that was all fine. And, you know, so I did that, and it was all good, but I quickly realized that teaching in the college level wasn't for me, because it didn't really get that personal interaction with students that I really wanted. So sophomore year comes along, and I find myself in a course with a few too many adjectives, namely Accelerated Honors Advanced Calculus. So something you all are rather familiar with here at Lakeside, I imagine. Okay, so basically this course was a course for the top 20 or so math students at the University of Washington. And I, at 17, was around the median age in that class. So that'll tell you that this is the class where there's, you know, the 12-year-olds and the 11-year-olds and the 13-year-olds who happen to be in college and are just, you know, at another level. So in this class, there was a test. It was the first midterm. It was out of 40 points, 4 questions, 10 points each. I got a 2. Okay, so this was a serious blow to my intellectual ego. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I'm a math guy, right? I mean, math's my thing. I've always done well in math, and here I get 2 out of 40 in a class. So this was certainly upsetting. So where did I go from there? Well, I had a very candid conversation with my professor that day, and one that I'll never forget. His name was Jim Morrow. He was an old-timer, been teaching for almost 30 years at UW. What he said was that, yes, I did terrible on that test. So that was a start. And then he also said that he maintains the highest expectations for me, that I should stick it out and persevere, and prove myself in the rest of that term. It was in that term when I truly realized the value of hard work. It was where I first wrote my math papers, where I first presented in a math conference, and despite the worst possible start, I managed to pull out a B+ for that course. So, what can I learn from this middle game experience, and what could I possibly share with you? Well, I think the key here is that you should always maintain high expectations, even in the midst of failure. And don't sugarcoat it, but rather treat it for what it is, and view it as a learning opportunity. So you're probably thinking, why is crazy Siva rattling on about failing a test? Fair question. So I'm getting to the punchline, don't worry. So you're all entering a phase of your life, in my opinion, where you have to make some pretty enormous decisions that very well could shape your futures. Along the way, somewhere in the middle game, I had a setback, a failure. While at that pivotal moment, I could have tipped my king in resignation and pursued another path, I had the mentoring and support to push on and persevere. So here's the punchline. When you encounter these moments in college, or really anywhere in your lives moving forward, where your passion and your performance are seemingly at odds, stick to your guns and follow your passions, even when you feel like tipping your king. As for the end game, what can I say? I've just finished 7 years teaching here at Lakeside and have the privilege of delivering this address to you. While this week may seem to be the end game for many of you, know too that a world of openings is now before you for you to navigate and enjoy. As you walk on that stage tomorrow to accept your diplomas, look back fondly on the game you just won, reveling in the highs, learning from the lows, and never forgetting the vast toolbox of tactics you've learned in your time here at Lakeside, for they are sure to serve you well in the chess games of your lives to come. Thank you very much.